All right. Welcome back to the Run.down post game show. I am Sam, joined by Tyrese. Knicks lose 139 to 124 in regulation to the Hawks. No, that is not an overtime score. Um, Shooting was astronomical in this game. Defense was non existent, as you can tell by the score. Um, Knicks shot like 71% in the first half. They shot 59% for the game from the field and still managed to lose the game because the Hawks ended up taking like, I want to say, about 20 more shots than us, due to the fact that Mitchell Robinson, who was injured in the last game, is not going to be with this team for a while at the very least. And no one took it upon themselves to, get in the paint and rebound. So it definitely kicked our ass tonight, and it showed. It showed. Definitely it gave the Hawks more possessions. They got a ton of offensive rebounds, and they just couldn't miss. I mean, both teams couldn't miss today, but one team got more shots than the other, and you know that's pretty much what it came down to. I mean, I really can't offer any really real analysis with like this with most of this game because it just came down to both teams not playing defense for huge stretches and guys just making a whole bunch of shots. I feel like the Hawks made like a ton of more, ridiculous shots, I would say, or like we would have we as Jeff likes to say, we probably won the shot quality battle in terms of, we took better shots, but they made their shots. We didn't make our shots when it mattered most, especially in that there were two rough stretches for us, I would say. Um, there was the beginning of the third quarter where we gave up like a 16-1 run to the Hawks. We managed to come back from that. But having to come back from multiple runs, it feels like it's something that just exhausts this team. A team that is already, playing about like six guys really per night, I would say. Um, and the issue was exasperated even more because Grimes was in foul trouble. But yeah, I mean, Knicks lose. And the stretch coming up is not looking kind for us, especially with no Mitch. So, you know, um, how'd you feel about this game, Tyrese?
I can't even say they won the shot quality battle because like the shots that the Hawks were getting off, especially in like the floater range where you know that
Oh yeah,
Trae
Dejounte
Young,
Murray was just like walking into jumpers in the.
yeah, like DeJounte Murray did not miss all game. So like I don't even think they won the shot quality battle. It was just a matter of like they could not play defense and drop. And yeah, Sims and Hartenstein suck and drop. I don't know why we keep running it. We couldn't rebound to save our lives. So many possessions ended just because like so many possessions could have ended sooner, but we just decided not to box out. Like you saw Dejounte Murray getting offensive rebounds, Trae Young getting offensive rebounds, and like one of their guards would just sneak in, get an offensive rebound, and they would score off of that. I just there's just really nothing to like highlight because okay, there's one thing to highlight. Emmanuel quickly played well, but like other than that, I just and he only had 5 shots tonight, which is like that can't happen in an NBA game. Like Obi Toppin should not be shooting more than Emmanuel quickly in more than double his minutes. Oh crap! Sorry, my bad. There we go. Yeah, I don't know how much you've heard of that. That's my bad. But
No, you were on.
okay, cool. But yeah, I just there's just so much wrong with this game. Like the defense was just atrocious. The rebounding was bad. They couldn't. Um, they just did not play. Like they just did not want to defend Dejounte Murray. They didn't want to like. And then Trae Young got it going. Once that happened, it was just kind of over.
Yeah, I mean, like the drop coverage, it really doesn't help when Grimes is in foul trouble and Mitch is out. Like that's when drop really works to its best with us because we have Grimes that's like good on the perimeter, and then once like he funnels guys into Mitch, it's like that's where we see it work at its best. But without those two on the court, it really stinks. And as you saw, I mean, it was a shootout today. I mean, they scored 139 points in regulation.
Yeah, and I said that I don't trust the Knicks in a shootout because realistically, they don't have the horses to shoot out. Um, like we saw it happen where they go down to like a 13-0 run to start the third quarter, and at that point, like, yeah, sure, Julie's able to fight it back to where they had the lead at one point, and then they go down four, but then he has to come out of the game. Brunson has to take his rest because they're playing the entire third quarter, and then the bench unit comes in, and yeah, like the bench unit just can't keep up because it's like it's RJ who's I know he finished strong tonight, but like he kind of cooled off. And at that point, what are you supposed to do when that happens? They don't have the horses to come back in, and then you have to pull it back in Brunson, pull back in Randall. And at that point, they've gone cold, and they're already playing a bunch of minutes. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster. This team's depth is really, being being tested right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, definitely some moves have to be made sooner, probably rather than later. Especially with the stretch that we're coming up against. I mean, there's talks of Serge Ibaka. I really don't know what Serge Ibaka brings to this team, like at all. He's beyond
good vet,
cooked. He's
like
beyond he's beyond cooked. Like I
yeah,
just don't
like
understand that.
it makes no sense. It absolutely like Serge Ibaka makes absolutely no sense for this team. Like I know Hardenstein's bad, but like come on,
I
like
mean, like if fans are mad at Hartenstein, you're gonna be extra pissed if you see Serge Ibaka getting minutes in
uh,
2023. Like this is just not that's like the name I don't want to hear at all. Like honestly, like if you want to get a big, like get anyone else besides him, literally,
like you
or
hit up
or DeAndre Jordan. Like don't get any of those two names. But yeah,
like you can hit up to the Magic. They probably have a big to spare. I don't want Mobamba, but like, can you give me Maga Preacher Boy? Can you give me like Jonathan Isaac? Oh God, we're that down bad, aren't we? Oh
nah,
my
I'm not taking that guy, man.
God, we
He
might be
can
that.
he can go screw himself.
We might be that down bad, but like, yeah, I just the offense wasn't the problem. The team just
I
they
mean,
could
the
not.
offense was a problem once they threw zone at us. I mean, this team is like a deer in headlights when they see his own defense. It's honestly like ridiculous.
True, but like, yeah, ah man.
That I mean, this is a staple of Thibs being here, like them being bad at zone defense.
You know what, man?
I
It's time to get the Taj Gibson trade going. Like, we gotta stop the bullshit. Pull the damn band-aid off. Give me some fundamentals up in there. Like,
but yeah, I mean, I really don't know what to say because like I'm just watching this game and I'm thinking the whole time I'm like, what do I say on post game today? Because it's like they're literally just like throughout the first half, it was like they're just making every single shot. Like, what analysis do I provide to that? Like, there was a point where like there's no analysis that can break down what we saw. But yeah, I mean the zone defense thing is definitely an issue. Guys being gassed is definitely an issue. Um, and I don't know how those things really get changed. I mean, these are some things that are, prolonged, especially the zone defense thing. It's been a staple of Dibs being here for the last like 3 years, whatever it's been. But yeah.
yep. I just, this is just a loss that I wish they didn't have to talk about. Cause I felt like if they just played with like half a brain defensively, I feel like they would have won. But what can you do? It just sucks that like they're just missing so much of what Mitch does and drop, and so much of what he does to cover up mistakes on the board. and just his touch around the rim. Like Sims had a 12-8 game, which is like good, but it is not Mitch. It's not Mitch's 12-8. And Jalen Brunson did his best impression with 3 blocks, but like it just does not. You don't understand how much you miss Mitch until like you watch this. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm like losing my lungs over here. But you know what? We're gonna jump into the ad read early. I literally don't know what else to say about this team anymore. Because this team is just like they break my brain with the ways that they're able to, screw themselves over. And here we are at 25-22.
23 now.
Isn't it 25-22?
Oh no. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
It's
25
25
and
22.
22. Don't add an extra loss just yet. Let's wait till we get to Sunday at least. Like
Then again, the way Forever BB winding us up.
perfect way to spend my birthday watching the Knicks piss themselves, but
That's how my dad spent his birthday today. My man was upset. You're good. All right.
oh man. All right. Time for the ad read. The ad read's a little old. I don't know why it talks about the wild card. Why didn't they update this? The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for I would say divisional round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to Super Bowl 52, new customers can bet just $5 and get 200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no sweat bet each day of the divisional round this weekend. I'm not sure if that's actually true, but we'll roll with it. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TBPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get 200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes or show description for details. Please, if you are in the comments, leave a comment. Let's keep the discussion going. Um, Chris Bernhardt starts us off. That call on iHeart is the most hilarious foul of all time. Joey Crawford wishes he made calls like that. Hart had to have said some nasty things to the ref to get called for that. Yeah, there was a couple calls that that really kind of were befuddling, I would say, to say the least. Definitely that call was absolutely weird. Even the explanation after he reviewed it was so weird. Like he was like, "Oh, um he said something about like his leg tripped him and changed the trajectory of like the shot." And it's like he didn't even trip on Hartenstein's leg until way after the shot went up. Like
I don't even think he didn't trip it at all. So what happened was he tapped Hartenstein's foot when Hartenstein was already starting to head backwards, and then he just stumbled on his own feet, and they called that a foul. And I think they knew they made it up because then they gave Brunson the return foul at the end of the game, or not the end of the third quarter. So like, it was really dumb. Like it was just a really dumb call, and it made no sense. It made absolutely no sense, but they still called it. So
also this freaking like flagrant call on quickly. I'm not quickly, but Grimes. I hate like the new flagrant rules. Like I understand it's like to protect dudes and whatnot, but like that's just so stupid. Cause like I feel like Trey, he kind of like extended himself on that like release. Um, but yeah, I hate that rule.
yeah, it's when you extend your foot, it shouldn't count. And like they cracked down on the fouls last year, and they started to bring them back, and I just, uh, oh man, like the refing has just been atrocious, and oh man, My brain hurts talking about this game because this game was just
Bernhardt's talking
so.
about this team.
Yeah, that too. Like I'm tired of playing in Washington and getting freak injuries happen. Like we
Every time we play with Washington, Mitch gets hurt, man.
he just loses a finger. Like, I don't know what he did, but like somebody in Washington got it out for him. First it was the hand, now it's his thumb.
Yeah. Um. All right. Ace Bouchard is 59% from the field and 43% from three, and still lost. I
And
mean,
27 assists today. So like they actually passed the ball, which is crazy to see.
but the rebounding,
Yeah, it was
the
the rebounding.
rebounding battle is where it matters. And without Mitch, I know a lot of people like to say, Mitch was overpaid, Mitch this, Mitch that, Mitch everything,
Mitch
but
was
like,
underpaid. Like for what he does for this team, like they should still be able to win most nights. And offensively, they had it, but like the defense basically went from like top five to bottom five. Like he's not an all star. They should still be winning these games, but like, come on, man. Like the defense should not crater that heavily, especially when you have a bunch of guys who are big, stocky, and can switch. But if like Dejounte and Trey Young are just gonna put up what 50 almost oh yeah, essentially like 53 points combined, then you can't really do much about it. So
yeah, they went crazy. And then you have DeAndre Hunter adding 20 and John Collins adding 17. It's just not a recipe to,
John Collins getting this game off feel like that feel like a gunshot.
DeAndre Hunter getting his game off and actually hitting jump shots and being efficient is what hurts the most. Because like next game he's gonna have like 7 points on like 8 shots, and like,
Dude, John Collins was shooting like ass from three this year, and you've hit three on us. He's shooting 26% from three. Like, oh man, like that's just filthy. That's absolutely filthy. I think you're just really seeing it in the rebounding because like they just had so many more opportunities than us. Because like the 3 pointers, they were even. Um, it was really just they had 100 shots to our 83, and that won them the game. The rebounding won them the game. So this team needs to really crash the boards. Like I know people look at Julius Randle's like raw rebounding stats. Like he's not that good of a rebounder, as we saw when we were in small ball lineup and we could not rebound. So
yeah, he
yeah,
gets all the uncontested rebounds.
like what happens is basically Mitch boxes out his man and gives up the defensive rebound most of the time in order to get started with the play started sooner, which is the right thing to do because ultimately speaking, you want your guards to rebound, you want your initiation to rebound, so that way they can run up the court with full head of steam and then make decisions in the half court. But like when people don't box out Hartenstein or Sims, like then you have a situation where like you're not getting rebounds, you look sluggish and lazy in the glass, and you get beat by your Neko combo and Clint Capella wetting you up for 8 offensive rebounds, and guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic, Jalen Johnson being able to box out and get those rebounds themselves. Like Mitch basically covers up a lot of these mistakes, and without him, like you can tell how porous this defense is.
Yeah. Um.
I'm
Taylor,
also I'm just glad that like Hartenstein didn't start because then this team would not have it wouldn't have even been close this first half. So
would the game would have been over by the second quarter, and I would have turned on Lost and continued binging. But yeah, I mean Hartenstein, it's hilarious. He loves to, snatch rebounds from our players, but like can't snatch rebounds from the opposing team. It's honestly hilarious to me.
yeah, I just man, just like he just doesn't do anything when he's on the court. Like I get he's an advanced analytics darling, but like at some point you have to be able to contribute on the court, and he doesn't do that. And
Not
like
as darling anymore.
Jericho Sims, like he's good, but he's not. I don't really like. I think my thing with Jericho is like he's so soft in the paint, and that's just because he's 6'9".
Also, he like mistimes a whole bunch of his like jumps and stuff, which I think
Yeah,
contributes to like not being as good of a rebounder. Like the numbers are all right, but like he could be a way better rebounder if he gets his timing right. Like I feel like he jumps way too early a lot of times, or jumps a little bit too late and doesn't get the board because of that. But yeah,
yeah,
I think that definitely is a hindrance on his rebounding ability going forward.
it absolutely is, and hopefully we're at least able to clean up some mistakes. I really don't want to see them trade for another center because of a 3 week stretch, but that might actually happen, which is like insanity to me. Like, I don't think they're going to trade for Serge Ibaka, but like, if they actually have to feel like they have to trade for Serge Ibaka because our centers are so bad, like, what are we doing here? Like, I love Mitch, but like, what are we doing here? If you feel your centers are so bad, you have to trade for Serge Ibaka. At that point, like, why even keep Sims? Why
What's
even
up, Jeff?
What's up?
just ranting about how if we trade for Serge Ibaka, I am like significantly more like deflated.
How you feel about this game, Jeff?
It was stupid. That's how I feel about it. It's giving off the vibes that this is going to be another wasted season, another just entirely pointless season.
I wouldn't go that far.
How many concessions are we going to make for this head coach? I'm genuinely curious. How many different excuses are there? And how many dumb explanations can we give to say, "Oh, it's fine because he's doing this"? Like people say, like people will ask, like why we're running 80% of the offense through Brunson and Randall, and they'll be like, "Well, Tibbs just wants to win games," but he's not actually maximizing the ceiling of this team. What he's doing is trying to win games in the safest way possible. He's raising the floor because he's so afraid of mistakes that he's not willing to take any chance. He's not willing to try and take 2 steps backwards to take 4 steps forward. It's everything just trying to push the rock up the hill slowly but surely. And there's no point to it. There's no team where your 2 best players are Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson that's going to do anything. It's a pointless thing to try to build around. So you as a franchise have to have self-awareness and try to figure out what the next step is and try to figure out where you're going. I mean, if all you care about is getting Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson the All-Star game, good job. That's what they're achieving right now. That is the point of these games. Nothing else matters. Emmanuel quickly took 0 shots in the second half. 0. He was 4 of 4, and he didn't touch the ball in 18 minutes. Oh, but they're just trying to win. Like, what does that even mean? What does it mean? They're not. Deuce and Obi played fine first halves. Didn't play the entire third quarter, and then what a shocker, they missed their first few shots coming off the bench playing for the first time in 40 minutes. No other team is playing basketball this way. Not a single one. Maybe like Nick Nurse. Maybe Nick Nurse is coaching this way. But any coach with a clue as to how to elevate a ceiling is trying to elevate all 9 guys. He's not riding 2 guys, maybe 3 if you count RJ. It's preposterous. There's no point to the season if all it's going to be about is trying to get the best out of Brunson and Randall. They're not going to win anything. So all we're doing is like walking in quicksand. It's a waste of time. We're not developing anyone. We're not going to get a good draft pick. There's no point to any of this. It's not teaching Brunson or Randall how to like be complementary players to other players. It's just viewing this season in the absolute most micro sense and trying to reduce all variance possible and like have the highest median possible. And I know that was a longer rant than I should have went on, but it's giving off those vibes. It's just feeling like a completely pointless season.
I won't say it's that bad. I can understand the sentiment. I don't think a season where you have 2 all-stars and we could quabble about like development of players. I still do feel like ultimately speaking, I do feel like Grimes is taking a leap. I feel like Quickly's taking a leap. Could they take bigger leaps? I absolutely agree with you there, but like I don't think you should like sell their development short. because of Tom Thibodeau. Because like at the end of the day, like there's still positive players impacting the game positively, and I do feel like ultimately they can impact the game more positively with a better coach, but they're still doing what they need to do. So like yeah, I think quickly Grimes. I think
I guess I just think they could win 50. I think they could win 50 plus games this season. Like I genuinely think that the idea that like first of all, Fournier and Cam are good enough to be ninth men on any other team in the league. And they've basically been banished because they don't perfectly fill the role that Tibbs has etched out for them as ninth men. So now we're playing. Okay, get them out. They can't contribute anymore. And now you have Deuce, who's basically the ninth man right now. And he basically comes in for a few minutes at a time and just stands there and then until he eventually gets to take a shot. And then Tibbs gets tired of him 3 minutes later and puts Brunson back in. Again, we shouldn't be building around Deuce. I don't think Deuce is like going to be freaking all-star. Like, I don't even think he's like a good player right now. That's not the point. The point is that there's a team here that can be elevated and it can be a more democratic style of basketball, and the minutes can be more democratic and the rotations can be more versatile. There's something here if you're willing to take a risk, and we have just about the worst head coach for that, in my opinion. And I think I don't think Tibbs is like a bad head coach in a vacuum, but I do think he's a bad head coach for this team. And I don't get how anybody can watch this and not think that, because this is good for nobody. I mean, heck, you could make the argument it's been bad for RJ. Like, RJ was 6 for 6 at halftime. He went the first 6 minutes of the third quarter without a touch. So, I don't know. I appreciate your point, Tyrese, and I think you're right. You're more right than me, probably. I'm definitely reacting emotionally and frustratedly. The Grimes and Quickly stuff is well taken, but I do think we have a bigger problem here, and I just don't know what the purpose of winning 42 games in another season is.
You still think they only win 42? Same and muted, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was dying over here coughing. But yeah, I mean, I've always felt like this way about Thibs. I mean, I've like stopped complaining about Thibs because I felt like it's been like futile at this point, because especially after the 8-game win streak, like I knew after that 8-game win streak, I was like, there's no way this guy is going to get fired at all. Maybe if we lose the rest of the games till All-Star break, because like we'll be giving up points as easy as we did tonight. Then
can't
maybe...
even say that, because like he went 3-17 when the team was 22-21 last year.
Very true.
Around the same time of year, and he didn't get fired, and he blew like 5 games with 20-point leads.
Very true. Very true. He's very much Teflon. I really don't know what it's going to take for him to get fired. So yeah, I mean, especially with the 8-game win streak, I was like, oh yeah, he's good. He's done. Like, I am going to stop even like trying to even like try to like even talk about him getting fired, or even try to imagine a scenario of him getting fired, even though I still will always feel like that's the best possible route for this team, just because like he holds us back in so many ways, and you see it on, like he does it in a different way like almost every night. And like when his back really gets pressed against the wall in these type of games, where we're like in these type of stretches of a season where we're like losing like consecutive games and we're losing in like really bad ways, you see him revert to like his nastiest of bad habits, and like it rears its ugly head in the worst ways possible. And that's what we're seeing right now. And you know, until we start going on another stretch where we're winning, it's going to continue to look like that.
Yeah, I mean, how do you watch Hartenstein? I mean, I guess the reason Hartenstein didn't get pulled is because he's doing exactly what Tibbs asked him to do, which is just play awful drop coverage. Like, I'm sure like Tibbs wants him to contest a little bit better, but if Tibbs wanted him to come out on DeJounte Murray, Hartenstein's not an idiot. He would have came out. So you have to assume he's doing what he's being coached to do. But still, how can you watch that happen DeJounte Murray hit like 6 straight mid-range jumpers in that second quarter.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. They basically just gave up the goose. They literally saw him snake the pick and roll and come down and get to the floater every single time he stepped up the court, and somehow they didn't decide to defend it.
Yep.
And when he decided to defend it, at that point he was just hot. He couldn't do anything.
And then so Hartenstein does that, and by the way, adding nothing on the defensive glass or offensively at all. Obi's having his best stretch in months. Hedges down on a drive, comes out on John Collins, leaps as high as he can with his hand in the air, and Collins nails a 3 over him, and Tibbs immediately calls timeout and gets Obi out of the game so he can play 8 minutes in the first. Like, why does his back have to be pushed in the fourth quarter to try Obi and Randall? Why can't he just have any feel for the game and just be like, oh, Obi's playing well, Hartenstein's not playing well, how about we just try Obi and Randall now? Like, why did we have to give up all momentum at that time to keep Hartenstein in the game? I actually think he put Sims back in the game, but whatever, to keep a rim protector in the game. And you know what? It's defensible when it's Mitch. Not defensible. It's optimal when it's Mitch, because Mitch can actually do things that nobody else can do. We're learning that right now, how valuable he is. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that Jericho Sims and Hartenstein are out there doing things that Obi can't do. He's like physically. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they're doing it. And even if it's close, I don't believe that they're more capable, even remotely as close capable offensively as Obi would be if he was given 20 minutes to get his feet wet and get his feel for the game. Like, this shouldn't be a close decision at all. And it goes back to the thing with Tibbs that always drives me crazy, is that he creates this paradigm where you have to prove you can, the guys he doesn't like have to prove that they can stay on the court and do the things that he likes. And the guys that he does like have to play themselves off the court. So like with Obi, when we're talking about Obi at the 5 next to Randall, the only thing people have decided that matters is rim protection and rebounding. We never talk about the benefits, ever. It's, oh, well, that team would get killed on the glass. As if Jericho Sims and Hartenstein aren't getting killed on the glass, and we can't seed those negatives elsewhere, where we can't counteract those negatives elsewhere. It's all about, he's basically gaslights us as a fan base to only think one way. And so that's why, like, I sound so crazy here. I don't want to talk like this, but there's nothing else to talk about in this game. What are we going to talk about? Jalen Brunson, Randall's 50 shots? Like, yeah, great. They put up good numbers with a bunch of shots. Brunson had some nice passes. There's nothing to talk about. All there is to talk about is this game that Tibbs has created. The defense, the rotations, everything. The first domino is who our head coach is. So, like,
not even to mention how they handle zone defense, which led to our downfall in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Yeah. Another one.
Which has always been, shortcoming of Tibbs' tenure here.
Because he doesn't preach ball movement. Like, nobody knows how to pass. I don't understand it. Like, it's so crazy. All people do is ISO and dribble, and it's just never ending. It's so crazy. It's, man.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the Wizards game, but for the Wizards game post-game, I know Schwinn and Tyrese had that one. But yeah, I mean, that one was another interesting game as well. I mean, I stopped watching like in the fourth quarter and turned on Lost. Because I knew I wasn't gonna be on post game, so I was like, I don't have to watch this game. And yeah, I mean, if I didn't have to watch today's game, I would have been watching Lost as well. This team is just it's been so miserable lately. I mean, like the 8-game win streak is gonna be like the peak of the season.
How do you not let your bench guys share the court with your starters somewhat? Like, you think, I say this every game, it's so frustrating, but like, if you don't think Deuce and Obi, and to a lesser extent Hartenstein, are good enough, like if the first time they screw up, you're gonna be like, oh, well, they're hurting us, I gotta get them out of the game. Is there not any chance that playing with Jalen Brunson instead of Deuce McBride might help Obi? Is there no chance that playing with Julius Randle instead of Obi Toppin might help Deuce McBride? That's the whole point. Like, that's the whole point of mixing and matching these versatile players. the whole goal of the game isn't to just only help these two players who are going to be your all-star. You're trying to make the team as good as possible. I don't understand.
Yeah, I have. I wish I had more of a analysis or take, but like, yeah, that's kind of
There's no analysis tonight. I don't know what folks are expecting, but I'm gonna keep going through these comments to see what people got to say. JL says the game was over when they shot 71% in the first half and were only up 3 points. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely, a little concerned there once they were up only 3 at halftime. And they shot 71% from the field. Shooting 71% from the field, I mean, that's incredible as a team to do. But
Dude, the non RJ Randall Brunson shot 22 for 31 for the game. They shot 75%. Every player on the Knicks not named RJ Randall or Brunson shot 75% tonight. So I don't want to hear like how incompetent the bench is and how like they're not given any chance to get any rhythm. Like I said earlier, quickly came in with two minutes into the third quarter, played 18 straight minutes in the second half, and got 0 touches. Like, this is an offense built to cater to its two ball dominant players. And so what the fuck are we supposed to talk about? Like, it's just okay, like the game went exactly as it was supposed to.
I love how, like, in the offseason, when I was talking to a lot of fans on the timeline, they said that Brunson was going to help mask a lot of Thibs' deficiencies. It's like, no, they've kind of like put them on like the biggest screen possible now. Like, they've kind of exasperated them even more. I'd like to say I was right about that. So, take that, motherfuckers.
Yeah, the whole like thank God we have a point guard thing is just I'm so glad I was on that. Like we were on that early. Is like that's just it hasn't been that way at all. I don't know what people are watching. Brunson isn't like organizing the offense and like getting everybody involved. No, it's just relentless ISOs and pick and rolls, and he's a really good basketball player, so he makes it work. But I mean, if you think that's what's best for the team, then I think I have a different view of basketball than people who think that we're optimizing this roster right now.
And damn it, that's my quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so you know what, Tyrese, that's a great comment because every time I say that, I feel shitty because it sounds like I'm hating on Brunson, but like,
it can have that vibe, but
he's doing exactly what's asked of him, and he's like leaving everything out there. Like, I love that guy. It's like I love Jalen Brunson. I just wish that he was a part of a more intricate and team-friendly offense because I think he would thrive even more. He might not score 25 points a game, but I think he would. There's no reason that RJ Barrett and Jalen Brunson should, by impact metrics, be our two most detrimental players, like in the rotation. That's crazy. That's just, we only have two players right now who the team loses without. And that's obviously Mitch and Quickly. And it's like everybody else has been up and down, and I don't know. I'm just all over the place right now, but the point I was trying to make is that I don't want anybody who watches this to think I don't like Jalen Brunson. I'm not super glad he's a Knick. I am, and I know Sam and Tyrese are. That's our guy. It's just I just think that he can be elevated even more as good as he's been this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the first one jumping off my bed screaming, every time he's going crazy in the fourth quarter and, hitting shots and shit. But like, I'm also thinking in the back of my head, wow, imagine if like he's bricking half these shots, how ugly this could be like right now. Like, holy shit. Because like, yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, we've seen it a whole bunch of times where, his shots aren't falling and, it turns into, let's set up Randall in the mid post and, pray for the best.
But when it works, it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, it worked tonight, and he almost single-handedly gave us the lead in the third quarter for like a brief respite before the stupid-ass Hartenstein foul. But that's
not good basketball.
I mean, like, I don't think it's not good basketball. Cause I feel like aside from like the heat check, I don't think he took like bad shots. I don't think like he was hijacked the offense. I kind of just feel like he was cooking. He had it going, and like when you're cooking and have it
I
going,
mean,
like
I mean, it's not really conducive to like the development of the team. I think per se.
I guess like Tyrese, I guess what I'll say is to Sam's point, how can RJ and Quickly be a combined 10 for 10 at halftime and neither player take a shot the first 6 minutes of a half and it not be hijacking the offense? Like if Randall and Brunson aren't supposed to be just your two highest field goal attempt players. They're supposed to be your engines. And being an engine is getting other players involved. And so, I don't know. I'm not trying to separate Randall from Brunson. I'm not trying to, make them the scapegoats. I think what you're saying is that they're doing what's being asked of them. And when it's on, it's on. I don't disagree with either of those things, but I do think that it hurts the team overall when two guys are just carrying such gigantic.
Because, and Jeff, to your point, because when they don't have it, and then it's forced to, hey, these other guys got to bail us out. They can't because they've got no rhythm.
Right. And so we win or die on the backs of Brunson and Randall, and we have all season. And this is why I got on here and went on that long, probably stupid rant. I don't really see a ceiling for that. So I don't know what the point of it is. Like, I think we can all agree that if this team is ever going to seriously compete and Brunson and Randall are on that team, we're going to have a better player than Brunson and Randall, right?
agreed.
So wouldn't the smart thing to do rather than just ride them until the tread comes off the tires be to try to like get them to play not be like complimentary to somebody else, but to at least like play a little bit more of a team friendly style of ball that gets them used to that. I don't really know how to explain what I'm saying, but I think it makes sense in my head.
I think what you're trying to say is like you want them to be able to like scale.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Like you want them to be able to play up or play down depending on like game state. You don't want them to essentially operate on like 30 usage every game, which makes sense. And you don't want them to also operate in a context where if they're lower usage, just because there's another guy with like 35 usage who's just on a heater. And I agree with that. Like, I think ultimately speaking, the process stinks. I think how they're putting up these numbers, that process is just like not good. But at the same time, it's like it's hard. Like, I can understand the qualms about ball movement and such, but I also kind of feel like it's hard to ask. Okay, I think without the shooting, it's harder to like kind of preach ball movement because like there's no drive and kick opportunities on this team. Straight up, like Brunson drives in the paint, he kicks it out. If it's not like Grimes or IQ, you really trust anybody taking that shot? Not me.
I trust RJ. On a pure drive and kick, I trust him as a catch and shooter. I don't think he's elite. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's meaningfully worse than Grimes or Quickly, or especially Quickly. I trust Grimes the most, and I know Quickly's been. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Quickly's number is bogged down heavily by how bad he's been on pull-up threes. I think he's actually been good off the catch.
He's like 32. He's like 33% for the season, and I think he might. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. But I don't think there's a huge meaningful difference between RJ and Quickly. I think Grimes is the most reliable, like by far.
I mean, also I think they missed Burks dramatically, and also they missed Fournier shooting. Last year's shooting because he was like a 40% shooter on volume. So,
what do you think? I mean, we don't have to talk about this for too long, but I've seen multiple people say that. What about? I know besides just being a good basketball player, what do they miss about him? Like what stylistically? Don't just say he's good. I agree he's good. So
I think like the big wing that can like do some like playmaking as well as hit like open threes and shit like that. and like he's a passable defender. So I think that type of like archetype just to take away like the pressure, just to like share that responsibility with IQ in the second unit, so he's not the only like reliable ball handler and scorer. Because I feel like IQ has that burden of the second unit being the only guy that's really reliable scorer and um ball handler. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a shame we can't trade for him because of, stupid rules. And there goes Tyrese.
I guess I just part of me is glad that Deuce is. Let me restate state. If I felt like Deuce was actually like going through speed bumps, um, I would prefer Deuce even though he's worse now. But the fact that I don't feel like Deuce is being allowed to grow makes me understand longing for Burks because it's similar. It's sort of similar to it's sort of similar to what we might see with Jericho Sims. Like, I think I think bringing in Serge Ibaka would be absolutely pointless and terrible for this team. But on some level, if Tibbs isn't going to let these young guys like have growing pains and evolve, I sort of get it because like there's no point to playing Deuce 8 minutes a night because Brunson playing 40 minutes a game is probably more harmful long term than not getting Deuce 12 to 15 minutes instead of 8 minutes is. So I sort of get the Burks thing, and to a lesser extent, I get the Ibaka thing. But
I think the thing with Burks is just like a 40% shooter who could dribble past shoot and was a legitimate release valve for that unit is missed. I think that's why they're basically looking for whack Alec Burks and like, well, not whack Alec Burks, but like mini Alec Burks and like someone like Eric Gordon. Not to mention like he gave you shooting variance that this team straight up just doesn't have right now. Like he can hit 5 threes in a game. He can win you a game. Like you literally saw it in like game 1 in the playoffs where like the guy was our leading scorer. You saw it like in that Detroit game last year where like he put up 34. They don't really have that kind of play on the bench as often quickly. And when quickly he's like the only one capable of doing it, it kind of hurts the bench unit because like Deuce, you're happy if Deuce gives you 10.
I just wish we didn't have to view it that way. That's like just hearing you say the bench unit makes me cringe. No other team thinks that way. They're not like that guy. There's this guy on Twitter who I feel like makes smart tweets a lot. His name is like Paul something.
Paul Gill.
Yeah, he tags me in tweets a lot, and he responded to some Tibbs post game presser like last game or the game before, and he was like, "I've never heard a coach talk about players on his own team with such divisiveness the way Tibbs does." Because Tibbs in that, and I watched the interview, Tibbs was like, "Yeah, we really like the minutes the starters gave. We just got to get that bench unit going." And like, I feel like 27 out of 30 other coaches view their rotation as guys who can all be switched in and out for one another for the most part. Obviously, there are people you have to be rigid with, like Mitchell Robinson can only play center. But still, the point is, I just wish we didn't even have to have conversations about like, oh, what can we do to get the bench unit going? Like, you know what would get the bench unit going is if Julius Randle was playing with the fucking bench sometimes. That would get the bench unit going. But no, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson play the entire third quarter. Deuce and Obi sit on their ass for 30 minutes, and then it's like, go do it. And like, yeah, almost anybody would struggle under those circumstances. That's not what any of these guys are used to. And I don't know. I just don't think it's the players. Like, that's just, I know I'm predisposed to think that way because I've never been the biggest Tibbs fan, but I just think that these bench guys actually are good players and to varying degrees, especially Obi. And I think that a good coach who was rotating better and putting these guys in better positions to succeed, we would see these guys be better players and we wouldn't be dying to trade for Eric Gordon.
Selby and Obi Toppin. Like being on this team long term for the future.
I can't.
Yeah, like I like Obi. And I've had this conversation with Schwinn. I've had it in our Discord. I I think in the year 2023 in the NBA, if you are a questionable shooter, questionable defender, and you essentially need pick and rolls ran for you in order to like realistically be effective, I question how much of a floor you have as an NBA player. I'm not saying Obi Toppin is a bust. I'm not saying Obi Toppin is going to not flourish out of this context because I do think that he's going to be better on another team when he goes on another team because I think at this point we kind of expect him to be on another team. But my thing is, I don't know how high his ceiling is, and part of that is tips, but part of that is also just like in 3 years, I don't think he's really taking a meaningful skill leap, and I didn't think he had one in the first place because realistically, a lot of his skill set coming into college with the NBA was he had a post game. He doesn't have a post game in the NBA. We saw him trying to post down like I think it was
Jalen Johnson.
yeah, Jalen Johnson, and then like Jalen Johnson basically just bodied up, and he couldn't get anything going. I think the fact that the shot isn't as good as we thought it was going to be coming into the league. Like I know he's shooting around 34% this year, but like for the last 2 months or so, he's basically at like 28%. So he started out 42%, and then after that game in Minnesota where he hit 3 threes, he's essentially been like 28%. I struggle to see much of like a pathway to like utilizing Obi Toppin. I know we try to get him more small ball lineup. I just don't like that lineup. I think they bleed too many points. I don't think the offensive boost is worth it. And I don't even think that's much of an offensive boost, really.
Right now, he doesn't. My counter argument to that would be that we saw the last 10 to 15 games of the last season what Obi looks like with any sense of a rhythm. And so even if you bleed a little bit in the next 5 games, if you just gave Obi 20 minutes off the bench while still playing Randall 35 minutes a game, I think that if right now you basically said, okay, we're done with Hardenstein, we're going to start Sims, and we're going to pull – this is what my ideal rotation would be. I'd have the starting lineup that we had tonight. I would pull Brunson early-ish. He would be the one I brought out for quickly. I would pull Brunson and Sims simultaneously around like the 4 or 5 minute mark, like Tibbs likes, and I'd put in Obi and I'd put in quickly, and I'd let them finish the quarter with Randall, and then I would put in Deuce and whatever, maybe flip out Grimes and RJ or whatever, do some weird rotation. But point being, Randall would be the only one who finished the quarter. So Randall and Obi finished the quarter together. And then I would put Sims back in for Randall to start the second quarter. And I would put Brunson in to start the second quarter for Grimes or whatever, whoever of Grimes and RJ finished the quarter. And it would basically be my path to getting Obi 20 minutes a game. And I would get him more involved in the offense. I would let him run more screens. And I would bet that him within the flow of the offense more involved, playing more minutes, would eventually in 20 games or whenever the development comes, impact the team to a meaningful enough degree that it's worth taking a step back. That would be my bet.
I can buy that. I just I look at this draft and I go, I know you guys aren't much on the draft scene. But I look at the draft and I go there are probably 5-6 dudes in our range right now. I take over Obi Toppin on this team, just given the fact they could do more. The draft is deep.
Sorry to interrupt. Did you say in the draft or in what our potential draft range is?
In our potential draft range.
Wow. Okay.
I'm actually serious. I look at something like Noah Clowney, Taylor Hendricks, even Kelly Ware, Chris Murray, G.G. Jackson.
Do you think part of that's because you're resetting the contracts, or are you only saying as players?
Both. I think resetting the contracts and as players. I think someone like Noah Clowney could literally be like a 3-stock guy. Or not a 3-stock guy, but like a 2.5-stock guy. And he also could you can buy the shot. I think someone like Taylor Hendricks, you can absolutely buy the shot there. And he's probably going to be the 3-stock guy that I'm talking about. So yeah, Baba Miller. Like you could probably put Baba Miller in there as well. Like, and he just got freed out from NCAA's archaic rules on like NIL stuff. But like, I just think he's limited, and I know the context isn't perfect for him, but like keeping him to a guy of like layups, dunks, and threes. Not to mention his touch has like completely disappeared. Like it's weird. He's also like they've been like scouting out his leaks more, and he hasn't been able to like get those transition breakaway dunks. So yeah, like I just kind of feel like this contest sucks, but I'm also just kind of like I don't know how much better he's going to be on a different team. And it's like if you need 5-out spacing, if you need like Tyrese Halliburton passing, and you need all of these things to try to like buoy your value. I don't know how valuable you realistically are.
I don't think he needs Tyrese Halliburton passing, and I'm not even sure he needs 5-out spacing. Because as I said before, we've seen him succeed. It's not like they were going 5-out at the end of last season. Like he was
it was a lot of minutes with like Sims, with Taj, stuff like that. So,
and it was just like with Quickly. Like, and him and Quick, what has happened to that? Like, remember everyone was like, "Oh, Quickly only passes to Obi, and they have this great chemistry." I can't tell you the last time Quickly made passes to Obi.
That thing is that's dead. And maybe it's due to partially, that timeout where Quickly became a starter. He started playing more starters minutes. Obi was out. It could be due to that, but yeah, there's definitely been like not that much of an IQ to Obi connection as there was in the past. Hopefully they can rekindle some of that. But yeah, I mean, let's get to some more comments. JL says blowing a lot of winnable games gave the team no margin for error if there was a big time injury. Now Mitch is out and they might be in trouble. It's not even might, they will be in trouble.
I would push back to that. I think it looks bad now, but I still think they'll be able to tread water until the All-Star break.
I don't see us treading water, man.
I think
the bigs stink at rebounding. The defensive coverage is not gonna change to help the team. Like I just don't see how like it gets any like I don't see how this team. I mean, it's especially the stretch that we're on now and we're about to go into. It's a pretty rough stretch.
Yeah, I was about to say, Sam, Tyrese, we have 13 games until the All-Star break. I'm gonna read them to you. All right. Are you ready, Tyrese?
I know the stretch.
Well, okay. What do you think our record is for the next 13 games?
Okay, I think they can beat the Raptors.
After our last game.
I mean, to be fair, in fairness, that game was kind of bullshitly refereed. But like,
well, I mean, that's a lot of our games, so like that's the norm.
Fair.
I do agree, though. We can beat Toronto. I'm not going to say we're dead, but I just don't think we will. I don't think we will, but I do think we can beat Toronto.
I think the Cavs, they lose. Celtics, they obviously lose. The Nets look horrible right now.
They do.
They look really bad.
We're the perfect get-right game for them.
I know, but they're also the perfect get-right game for us.
When have we ever got a get-right game when we're supposed to?
In fairness.
Especially against the Nets.
In fairness.
In Tom Thibodeau's tenure.
Okay. All right, fair. You know what? You're right. The Lakers, it's the Lakers.
Wait, do you mean that's a win?
Yeah.
You think we're going to beat LeBron at MSG with him closing in on Kareem?
I don't give a shit about that.
LeBron's going for the Kareem record against us, man.
Dude, he honestly might score 60 points.
It'll be a Kobe 60. Who cares? Anyway. I mean, like, maybe AD plays that game, but like...
So that's 2. You have us at 2 and 3 right now.
Oh, yeah. AD is coming back during that trip.
Oh.
Miami?
Miami, no.
Clippers?
Miami. Yes.
We're going to beat the Clippers. Okay. 3 and 4.
I don't... Do you trust the Clippers to stay healthy?
I trust every single one of these teams to come to MSG and play their best. I'm not thinking about the Packer out. I'm thinking about how stupid being a Knicks fan is and how whatever can go wrong.
Literally before the Wizards game, me and Jeff were talking about, hey, Bradley Beal's gonna come back against us, and then hey, what do you know? Bradley Beal comes back after missing 5 straight games with hamstring tightness. It's like, yeah, of course he did.
It's every game. Like George and Kawhi will find their healthy game together against the Knicks.
I mean, they had their healthy game today, and they looked freaking amazing versus the Spurs. I mean, it's the Spurs, but still, I mean, they looked fucking amazing. But yeah, they're gonna do the same thing versus the Knicks, guaranteed.
But okay, this is Tyrese's run. So he's got us at 3-4 right now. Yeah, 3-4. Okay, Philly at home.
No. Magic, yes. Philly again, no.
Okay.
Jazz, yes. Nets at home. Oh, the first Nets game is on at the Clays. Okay.
The Clays, God, that's so lame.
Okay, I think we beat the Nets at least once.
Okay.
I don't know which one it is, but I think they beat the Nets at least once.
Okay.
If KD's not going to play to the All-Star break, they could beat the Nets at least once.
Okay.
And
you gotta put money on that game.
Dude, I'm not betting.
And then what about at Atlanta? Literally just had the floor fucking wiped with us at Atlanta. But you know what, Tyrese? I think you're low key just the best fan of the three of us. Like, if people want
to okay, look, if they beat the Raptors, we're going all the way. And if they lose to the Raptors, this team is ending up in 11th.
It's my birthday. They're gonna lose.
Yeah, me and my dad literally had his birthday cake and we watched this team lose. It wasn't a good time.
So Tyrese, if you say loss to Atlanta, you have us going 6-7 before the All-Star break.
Yeah, like, I don't think this team is gonna be dead in the water.
That I gotta be honest. I don't know. I'd love to hear what Sam thinks, but fucking sign me up for 6-7 right now. I'll sign the dotted line at 6-7 before the All-Star break without Mitch.
I'm not that confident, man.
Okay, you're saying like, okay, if you were to put a number on the next 13 games.
No, Sam. I'm saying what you're saying. I'm saying I don't think 6-7 is going to happen, and I would sign for it. Like, if I could.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm not that confident. Like, I think 6-7 is being very confident. I'm not confident in this team's defense without Mitch. I don't think Dibs is going to make the proper adjustments defensively to like make sure that we're playing a coverage that works for the personnel that we have. I think he's going to continue to try to shoehorn Sims and Hartenstein into like being drop coverage rim protectors, which they're not. I think we should be switching, but he's not going to do that. And like the offense is going to remain the same. Like, I just think that a lot of things are just going to remain the same. And like without Mitch there, it just doesn't look as clean. It doesn't look as good. And yeah. And I feel like against some of these matchups, especially if, we have AD coming back in MSG, he's going to light up the paint, man. He's going to light up the paint. And I mean, if LeBron is going for that record, layup line.
So he's
layup line. Layup line. Jericho Sims, God bless you, man. I know he's clutch, but he's not going to show any mercy in the paint.
I would bet on 4-9. That would be my bet.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 wins looks like the most like possible route, I think.
Like, would you agree with this, Tyrese? I don't think a single one of the rest of the games before the All-Star break is a game that will be more than, save like crazy rest, assuming some semblance of health. I don't think the Knicks will be bigger than a 2-point favorite in any single game. Like, by the books.
I think 3 against the Magic.
Man, in Orlando with how they've been playing recently?
Oh, that's in Orlando?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that'd probably be even.
Right.
Never mind.
I was thinking Utah. Like, Utah in 10 games, if they keep kind of sliding, we could be favorites versus them even without Mitch, but maybe not. I don't even know.
Yeah, I can see it because they might be starting to ship off people.
So like, and we're gonna be betting underdogs at Toronto versus Cleveland, at Boston, at Brooklyn. LA will probably be a pick 'em. We'll be dogs to Miami. We'll be dogs to the Clippers if they're healthy. We'll be dogs.
We're not dogs to the Clippers? I don't know.
I'm not saying, I mean, if you want to bet it, you can, but I'm just saying we will be betting dogs. So if both Kawhi and Paul George play, there's a 0% chance we're betting favorites by the books. They just
Okay, fair, but I don't trust both of them to be playing that game.
Yeah.
Then again, this is also the Knicks, so.
And then we'll be dogs at Atlanta, and we'll be dogs versus Brooklyn. And so with both Philly games, we're going to be easily betting dogs in 10 of the 13 games left. Like, I don't know. This is a very scary stretch to me. If we go 6-7, like you said, that would be, again, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing without Mitch, especially like, for how much he provides on rebounding and defensively.
I feel like ultimately speaking, I do think that it's their first game without Mitch. I do think that the players, I don't think the scheme will adjust, but I do think the players themselves can play a little bit better than what they showed. And ultimately speaking, the team has 2 All-Stars. If they go 4-9 during this stretch with 2 All-Stars, that's got to
Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen.
But they're 2 All-Stars. God, this is going to sound like such hate again. I hate it. They're 2 All-Stars by the manufactured way with which we run this. We're learning right now that you could argue Mitch is the most valuable player on this team. Like, all the impact stats say it. Like, the Knicks are like 15 points per 100 better with versus without Mitch compared to Brunson. So, like, yeah, we have 2 All-Stars, but we also have a player who's missing who might be more valuable than the other 2. So I don't know. I just think that's a little arbitrary. Like, and I'm not saying that they're not all-stars or that they're not good players. They are good players, but how conducive is the style with which we're playing to winning basketball games without Mitchell Robinson? I'm a little bit more skeptical.
All right, let's get to another comment real quick.
Sam and Tyrese, one more thing since we're all on this agenda. First of all, somehow in this game, Emmanuel Quickley was +2, which makes no sense. He played like the whole game. We lost by 1 million. Everybody else was -1 million. Barrett was -20, and Quickley's +2. There was no other player in the positives. And after tonight's game, Quickley's true shooting percentage is over 55%. So
the small victories.
Small victories.
Aaron Bender says Sims provided 0 resistance playing drop and pick and roll. I don't care if he gets torched over the top, but he needs to introduce some element of uncertainty in that play. He might as well not be there.
Yeah, that's a great comment. Saying he might as well not be there is exactly how I would describe it, because he was dropping so far back.
He's basically under the basket.
He was literally under the basket because he didn't want to give up the lob to Capella. So he wasn't even remotely contesting the floater. And then there was the one possession when Murray missed it short, but Sims was so far under the basket, he wasn't even close to the offensive rebound. So saying he might as well have not even been there is a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah. I mean, I think with Sims also, it's like, it sucks because it's so weird because like he's obviously good enough to like start, but like he can't play like when like everyone else is healthy. Like that's just so weird to me. Like he's obviously better than Hartenstein, like for the role that like Thibs is obviously trying to like shoehorn guys into, at the least, for a bench player, but it's beyond weird to me. But I mean, the definition weird has been the definition of Thibs' tenure. So like,
I agree.
JL says 7-9 since the 8-game win streak is just terrible considering this was the light part of the schedule. What good teams did they even play outside of the Bucks and Sixers? Yeah,
That's a really good question. What game did they play well in? Man, that's such a good point. I would say the Bucks game was the game they played the best. Oh, the Suns game. They played really well in the Suns game.
Yeah, the Suns game they played well.
At Houston,
they didn't even play that well because they were down.
Man, they won by 20. You're right though. They were like close to losing at halftime.
Yeah, the Suns game. They played horrible against Spurs, horrible against the Raptors.
If you're gonna include the Philly game, let's be honest, they played the Bulls and the Mavericks, especially the Mavericks game. They played that game, the first at Dallas game. They played that game really well, or the at Dallas game that they blew the 9-point lead with 30 seconds left. That you could honestly argue that was the best game they played all season for 47 and a half minutes.
Without Brunson too,
right? Without Brunson, that was an amazing game by them until they collapsed.
Yep.
Generational collapse, by the way.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, let's never talk about it again.
Yeah,
Aaron Bender again with another couple comments. He says Thibs will never get fired. Eventually be promoted to special consultant or something so dumb, and someone else will coach. That is exactly what they do with these type of coaches. They'd be like, "Oh, he's been promoted to like a special consultant in the front office."
The Dave Gettleman path.
Oh man, he says, "How can you watch the opponent be so comfortable and not want to introduce some chaos?" Yeah, it boggles the mind that Thibs doesn't want to like. He wants to play things so safe as Jeff said, before, on and that's on both sides of the ball. He wants to be safe on offense and on defense because it's what he knows and what he can control. Anything outside of that is out of his control, and he just cannot fathom that.
I'm reminded. I don't know if it's a generational thing or just like the type of people who get into coaching. But my dad he's like an old school Knicks fan who basically, didn't stop watching basketball when Jordan retired. And then since I've started doing this with y'all, like he's gotten back into it just as like a father-son bonding thing. And so we talk a lot of Knicks nowadays. And he talks a lot about his job and what he does for work. And basically what he did for work was guard against worst possible scenarios. And he says a lot that he sort of like, he doesn't agree with it, but he sees what Thibs is thinking with the decisions he makes, because he actively sees Thibs basically like creating the worst case scenario in his mind and then guarding against it. And if you see Thibs through that lens, his decisions don't become defensible, but they at least like you can at least understand the man and where he's coming from, like, oh God,
the method to the madness,
right? Like, oh God, John Collins hits a corner three, got to get Randall back in, like what if they score some more points in this next minute? And like
he's it's like ultimate panic mode.
Yep. And he would rather win, or excuse me, he would rather lose on the backs of the guys he trusts and he thinks are his best players than win. No, I mean, not than win, but how do I say what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to create a range.
Then trust, like an unpredictable outcome of like,
exactly. That's a great way of saying it. It's like
these mix of bench players and starters, they get us this win. It's like something that's so unpredictable, he can't even fathom it.
Exactly. It's like fourth down decision making almost. Like NFL coaches, the dumb ones, would rather punt and lose because the defense couldn't get a stop than go for it and lose because they actively made a decision that was high variance, because then they can be more apt for blame. And that's sort of how Thibs spends his whole life.
That's why we love the Giants coaching staff.
Dude, Daboll is the fucking man. That guy is
all awesome. The way, baby, all the way.
I'm not even a Giants fan. That guy is awesome. It's not even, it's everything. That game versus the Vikings was, dude, like that was his magnum opus or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah, you got it, magnum opus.
Yeah. Because tomorrow he's about to put the boots to Jalen Hurts.
Dude, they're winning, and he still understood that the Vikings pass defense was awful, and he was still throwing every down. He wasn't like, he didn't get conservative. He did what gave their team the best chance to win the entire game. And it shouldn't have even gotten as far as needing if Slayton just catches the ball, they win. Like they win on the entire back of his game plan. And sorry, I'm skipping questions, but Hawkeye just asked. My dad got me into all these sports, and he's all New York sports. So we're Rangers, Yankees, Knicks, and then my dad's a Jets fan, and I hopped off the bandwagon at a very young age for the team that won back-to-back Super Bowls because I'm scummy, and I stuck with them.
Oh my gosh. Ace Bouchard says he wants more Jeff conspiracy theories, by the way.
I have a question for you guys. I even though I've basically been mucking this post game up with stupid rants, I do think that we had a nice conversation about Obi, and I'm seeing a lot of RJ talk on my timeline right now. So I'm curious what you guys think about his overall play, specifically like defense and rebounding. Like, are we worried, or what do we think overall?
Oh
This
man.
would get Tyrese going. So
I mean, I genuinely don't even complain anymore because it's sadly become the norm that it isn't what it's supposed to be. I'll say that.
but when you say that, Sam, is it in a sense of
He's
all
supposed to
right,
be better than this.
this is disappointing that he's underachieving, or do you think that it's year 4? Is it year 4? Yeah, it's year 4, and shit, like the writing, like this might just be who he is. Like, where are
No,
you?
I don't think it's what he is. I think it's what he's settling for because we've seen him be better than this.
Bullshit. This is what he fucking
On
said.
defense and rebounding, we haven't seen him be better than this. Tyrese, don't lie.
Boy,
Come
he
on.
moves like he's a molasses. What are we talking about?
All right.
He
Anyway,
was definitely better on defense.
to be serious, he was
in the
much
league.
better on defense to start last year.
Yeah, he decided to jack up the last 2 years, and now he's moving like
Exactly.
he's
So I'm saying he can be better than this. It's just a matter of
because
like
Drew
him.
Hanlon needs to be investigated for fraud, grand larceny, extortion. Like that picture that we used for like Julius Randle, and that gif for like the bunch of the crimes in the background. Put Drew Hanlon's face on that, and every time RJ Barrett can't navigate the screen in 2023, just put Drew just put that up because like, okay, honestly, you put quickly the starting lineup over RJ Barrett right now. Like that starting lineup is better.
I mean, or Grimes. He's better than both of them. He just is.
Yeah, but like I would honestly do like I would take the defense at this point because IQ's defense is all world. So
Right.
So yeah, like I think at this point, like he is. This is. I think we're close to saying this is who he is. Like he hasn't given me any hope that he's somehow going to be better than this. Like maybe he gets a touch more efficient, but like the passing is not where I want it to be.
Yeah.
The rebounding comes and goes. The effort comes
He
and
really
goes.
does. He does not battle for boards at all.
Yeah, and like I don't know what happened because at one point he was really battling for them and then he just stopped.
Julius Randle rubbed off on him.
The thing is, Julius has been battling more than RJ has. Like easily, Julius has been battling more.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he was tonight, but I agree with you. He's been better lately.
But yeah, like I this is pretty much who he is. I think he's just obsessed with scoring 20 points per game. Like that article that came out last year, where he was like, "I want to be a 20-point per game scorer." Like, as long as he's scoring 20 points per game, you think RJ Barrett really cares? I don't.
Man,
So yeah, like,
sucks.
and like I said it before, I said it 2 years ago, I said it last season, I'm saying it again. Ultimately speaking, like when RJ and Randall were both introduced to the team, they were essentially fighting for who was going to be in this team long term. Add Brunson into the mix. Now you see Brunson's an all-star, you see Randall's an all-star. Ultimately speaking, he's the odd guy out, and he's the big dude who's going to be like, he's the guy who's going to be traded. Like, I don't really think there's any debate on that. I don't see this front office really trading. Like, if they didn't pivot off Randall after 2019, and they didn't pivot off him after 2021, there's no way they're pivoting off him now.
Yeah.
And you obviously know Brunson's not because they tapered to get him. So
they tampered together. I will say this. I believe this for a long time because I'm a nerd who likes analytics and impact numbers and stuff like that. This is probably the most, if you assume what you just did, Tyrese, that Randall and Brunson are here to stay, this is probably the most entrenched I've felt that the Knicks' top 4 priorities should be Brunson, Randall, Quickly, and Mitch. And again, my Twitter name is Frank Barrett. I love RJ. I want him to be great. And I think he can be great. I think there's a path to him being great. This isn't me being out on him. I think right now the starting line, I think based on what you said, the starting lineup should be the 4 I just said plus RJ. But that's a different conversation. But RJ has to, this has to be his personal moment to improve the non-scoring areas of his game, to go on that Jimmy Butler trajectory. Because the truth of the matter is Brunson and Randall are better scorers than he is right now, and they're better engines than he is. This isn't to say that RJ can't be a better engine down the line, but as long as Tibbs is the head coach and he's dying to win every minute of every game, Brunson and Randall are going to be options 1 and 2. So RJ can either check out and we can begrudge Tibbs for not getting RJ more involved, which, okay, that's reasonable for us as fans. But if he wants to be as great, this is also an opportunity for him to say, I'm going to try to be as great as I can at, catch and shooting, at drive and reacting to closeouts, at really focusing on protecting the defensive glass, getting a body on a man, and on being a wing defender that can be relied upon. Those are the 4 things that he should be focusing on more than anything. It shouldn't be expanding his bag like they say on Twitter. Like, that's just, it's not helping.
Got to get more wiggle.
Right? It's not helping him. He needs to get better at the ancillary things. And that takes some self-awareness, and it takes taking a step back. I guess we'll see. I will say tonight, there was a stretch in the third quarter when I thought Quickly and RJ, like a 6-minute stretch, when I thought Quickly and RJ really locked in on Trey and Murray at the same time. And I thought they did a really good job. And I was like, man, we should just be seeing this more often. It was like the best defensive stretch from both of them of anyone in the entire game. That includes Grimes, who's usually great. I was really impressed with what RJ gave during that tiny stretch on DeJounte Murray. He used his body. He was fighting around screens. And just seeing that almost makes you more frustrated because you want to see it more.
Because it's there. Because you just saw it, and it could be there more often if the guy just, does it. Like, that's all it really takes. Hawkeye 420 says, so I asked you guys a few games ago if our process was sustainable because we were so reliant on iso ball and shooting. Is this all actually sustainable, or are we about to miss another play-in? I don't think it's sustainable. I never think this style of play is sustainable. It's arguably one of the worst styles of play ever. Literally. So I don't think it's sustainable. Whether we missed the play-in or not, I'm not sure. I think we can still pretty be in that, because it's really jam-packed there. So I don't really think there's like really a way that you can really fall off unless like you really go on like a 3-17 stretch like we did last year.
Dog, if we go 3-17 with this, like with Brunson, Randall, like, dude,
nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen.
Nothing's gonna happen.
No,
nothing's gonna happen. We've literally seen the worst of this team. Last year. Nothing's gonna happen.
I'll say it though, Sam. I'm a little bit. I don't think we're gonna go 3-17, but I think if we do, or if we have a stretch that's not that bad but bad, I think there's enough teams behind us that are trying to win that we can miss the play-in. Bulls, Hawks. The Hawks are half a game behind us. They're passing us during this stretch. I think that's almost a given.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls with DeRozan are going for it. They just are. They're not. If they're going to trade Levine, it's going to be in the offseason, right? Tyrese, correct me if I'm wrong.
It would be.
Right.
They trade him though. They probably trade DeRozan before anything.
I saw a report the other day that like the only person they were like keeping untouchable was Caruso. I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's such an odd name to be like,
all of Knicks fans just cried.
Shriveled up.
The Bulls are 3 games back. I don't think it's crazy. The Bulls have been better lately. I don't think it's crazy to say that they closed the gap. So Hawks and Bulls all of a sudden were the 9 seed. The Raptors and Wizards are 4 games back in the loss column. And like again, maybe one of them or both of them makes a trade before the trade deadline. But as currently constructed, both of those teams are at least going to try when they're playing. Like they have enough good players that if the Knicks go, 5-15 or 6-14 in their next 20 games, I don't think it's crazy to think that one of them passes us.
This team's going to be 8th at worst. I do not care about the Bulls and Raptors, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't like the Raptors are 6 games below 500.
Man, Sunday post game, Tyrese. I'm gonna be watching from wherever I'm at. And if you're gonna be singing a different tune if they bust our heads in Toronto.
Listen, okay. Even if they win that game, I'm sorry, the Wizards are 7 games below 500.
And they just clapped us the other day in
but-
MSG.
All right, again, like I'm not saying they can't beat us individually, but I'm also saying like, come on, like
I ain't sleeping on no one, man. We stink. We fucking stink.
All right, man. If this team ends up in 11th, then like at that point,
Yo,
trade
as
everybody.
have the last 3 years have the last 3 years not shown you how unpredictable and weird this team can be? From the 2021 to the 2021 season where we go on this miraculous run to last year where we go 3-17 and the coach doesn't get fired to this year where we start off shit, we go on an 8-game win streak and we continue to be shit. I mean, has this team not shown you like how unpredictable they can be? Nothing, literally nothing is out of the realm of possibility for this team. Nothing.
How do we not have a guy? How do we not have Obi or Randall or Quickly or RJ just flash into the middle against the zone defense? Like, aren't there 8th grade coaches who are teaching their guys in middle school to do that?
I've seen my high school team, beat a zone. It's not that hard. Thibs, do you need to watch high school tape? Literally.
I understand. It's so crazy. And people die.
3 years. 3 years.
Oh,
3 years. 3 years. Which brings us to Chris Bernhardt's comment, who says it's funny how a disciplinarian like Thibs allows such terrible P&R coverage, not lighting any fire under any of our guys defensively, and being okay with constant blown leads. Yeah.
because he only knows one way. He's a hammer, and the whole world is a nail to him. The only answer he has is to keep trying harder, keep trying his way harder. And when you combine that with rigidity, where he's just completely set in his ways, and he knows the answers. All he sees every game through is the lens that reaffirms what he already knows to be true. So every Obi mistake just reaffirms that Obi can't play more than 15 minutes a game. And every Randall sweet ISO reaffirms that Randall is like the MVP of this team and needs to be playing 40 minutes a game. The bad stuff by Randall is excusable because Tibbs knows he's the guy. And this isn't Randall hate. Randall's an all-star. He deserves to be in the all-star conversation. He's honestly, from a volume standpoint, probably been our best player of the season, including Brunson. But I'm just making a point about Tibbs and how he views the world of basketball. And it's all through this very specific lens where he has all the answers. And it's not good for this team.
We got a great string of comments here. I just want to highlight. So Dirty Dancer, he says, I hate to say it, but I'm close to rooting for pinballs. Guess I'm a bad fan. Then Hawkeye 420 says, rooting for pinballs as a Knicks fan, like the NBA makes their mission to absolutely screw us with the lotto.
Mhm.
Then we have Dirty Dancer who says, turns out when you have 6 guys, losing one is really, really bad. Yep. I mean, when you play a 6-man rotation basically in the last like quarter of the game, kind of hurts, especially when that guy is really good at defense and rebounding. 2 very important things in today's NBA. Who would have thought? And then we have Hawkeye 420 who says being a Knicks fan is just a masochist dream at this point. It's always been a masochist dream.
Oh my God.
Being a Knicks fan is the ultimate masochist.
I can't believe I'm going to talk about Tibbs again. But you can't lose Mitchell Robinson and then just say, how do I do the same thing just with the 3rd string guy? There's no other coach in the league. Like, the Lakers didn't lose Anthony Davis and then say, okay, Thomas Bryant, it's time to be Anthony Davis. No, that would be
In
ridiculous.
fairness, he was hooping for like a
He
good
was.
7
No,
games. And
He was,
like,
but he was
starting
hooping
to
as Thomas
play.
Bryant.
he was
True.
hooping as Thomas Bryant, and he was hooping as a complimentary player in a totally different role. That's the point. I'm not saying that Thomas Bryant isn't a fine player. I'm saying that they adjusted. They adjusted their scheme. Like anyone who watches the Lakers can tell you that they're playing a much different brand of basketball with Russ and LeBron running the show as opposed to LeBron and AD running the show. It's just a different – they had to adjust. You have to when you lose a player like that. There are other positives to this team that Tibbs could point to and he could build around and he can adjust his scheme to. But instead, he's so rigid and inflexible that Jericho Sims goes from out of the rotation to playing twice as many minutes as Obi. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how it makes sense that a guy can go from 0 minutes a game to almost 30 and playing double Obi's minutes. In what short or long-term paradigm does that make sense unless you've created a world where no matter what, you have to have a paint-bound center on the court? That's the only world it makes sense in. But it doesn't make any sense in any logical, actually trying to win the game and maximize your ceiling standpoint. It's just muting my fucking microphone. I can't talk about this guy anymore.
That's exactly why I stopped bringing him up on any post game. Like if you notice, like there's a stretch of the year where like I stopped like mentioning his name in general. Like I just stopped talking about him because like you'll just like you'll go in a spiral.
Yeah.
Speaking of him though, Hawkeye 420 says in Nick McMillan's interview after the game and the post game, he was talking about how the zone effed us up. And then Hawkeye 420 says this motherfucker is Tibbs' dad.
Dude, you got exploited by Nate McMillan?
I mean, hey, we saw him do it in the playoffs on the biggest stage, you know, where Nate McMillan has been often criticized for his lack of adjustments. So, I mean, this is nothing new for Tibbs. You know, Tibbs is just getting a nice little, you know, visit from his pops, Nate McMillan.
Come on. It's just... Let's talk about loss or something. God.
Let's talk about the NFL playoffs.
Oh my gosh. Hold up. Let's see. So Dirty Dancer says RJ has abandoned all the little things for 20 points per game.
Yeah.
He has.
I agree.
All right, let's see. What else do we have? Oh man, scrolling through these comments, guys. I'm just, you know, trying to highlight the, you know, ones that haven't been at least a repeat or at least not a conversation between you guys. Oh, Dirty Dancer says Raptors feel like us last year, just an unexplained mess. I mean, that's been the Raptors for a couple years now, though, I would say. I mean, besides last year where they went to the playoffs.
The problem is if they blow it up tomorrow, then like they at least be able to get like a bunch of picks out. So,
True.
Like some teams are gonna give like 3 picks for Siakam, like, which is weird, but like it's gonna happen. And probably 2 picks for OG if they decided to go that route.
It is such a weird thing how perspective like shapes. Like it's weird to me that it's just widely accepted by the league that all of Van Vliet, Gary Trent, OG, and Siakam have like this crazy good trade value. And they're like, shouldn't that be a good team? Like if everybody wants all these guys, shouldn't the combination of them be better than 20 and 25? And like, if nobody wants any of these Knicks players, if Julius can't fetch a friggin' first rounder, which I know he could now, but like everybody's laughing at Grimes and RJ is this overpay. How are the Knicks better? It must be Tibbs. Must be.
Eric Fernandez with an interesting thought here. He says, I wonder if RJ's effort issues have to do with Tibbs in the front office trying to ship him off.
They're gonna ship him off regardless. It's not like he's gonna stay with his teams. I don't get that. Like, if like you can't talk about how it's a business, and then come out and try to like dog it. Like, you should be wanting to, you know, play.
Oh no, he got paid.
Exactly. You got paid too, so like, what are you complaining about?
I don't
Like,
know. Ask him.
I wish, like, why?
I don't know, man. Like, whatever. I'm gonna throw up a defense here for RJ. Like, dude, he gets frozen out a lot on this team, and like, until
no.
no,
Year 1, year 2, absolutely. Like, I can understand that sentiment. Year 3, year 4, no way. I'm pretty sure, like, literally before RJ and before Randall and Brunson basically had to carry the load, like, I'm pretty sure he was averaging the most shot attempts on the team. Like, I don't want to hear about the RJ Barrett getting frozen out situation anymore because, like, he clearly does not. He does not get frozen out nearly as much anymore. Maybe once in a while, sure, and that happens when you have 3 guys who basically are like a user triangle, but like the frozen out excuse, like I cannot support that because it's not true. He just doesn't get frozen. He doesn't get frozen out.
well, it happened tonight.
Yeah, it's good. Like, it happened tonight, but like on the aggregate of the season, like how many times can you really say RJ Barrett got frozen out or RJ Barrett wasn't able to like really get in full control of the offense?
Yeah, I guess it's just like kind of a weird flow thing, like almost like a chicken egg situation. Like I agree with you, RJ puts up a lot of shots, but don't you feel like from watching the Knicks games that like sometimes there'll just be like stretches where it seems like he has it going and then he doesn't touch the ball, and then the first time he touches the ball, he puts up a bad shot. Like I know that's being super using like anecdotal evidence, and I don't really have the numbers to like back that up. But I just feel like from watching the games, there are times where it's like, man, like I don't feel like RJ's touched the ball in a while. And then you'll start paying attention to it, and his first touch, he'll just shoot. So like, here's what I'll say, and I have no numbers to back this up. I don't even know if a number exists, but I'll just say this: I would be very interested to look at the points per or shots per touch, and if that is a stat that exists anywhere, I
Gotta ask Doug for that one because Doug was
right.
doing the whole like
Yeah.
dissertation about like touches and stuff. Pause.
I invite someone to find that.
But yeah. Let's see what other comments we have here. I think we'll end off with like a couple more. We've been going on. I think this is our longest non-trade deadline / free agency / off-season stream.
Yeah.
Eric Fernandez says Tyrese is strangely very negative, but also overconfident about this team.
That's a good way to put it.
That is the perfect way to put it.
I'm
I'm very
here.
negative, but also like super underconfident or whatever the word is for that. Pessimistic about this team.
I feel like you're like this team. You're literally be like, okay, we have 3 all-stars. All the young guys on this team are really good. We're winning 35 games.
Yes, thanks to the coach.
Yeah, you're just like, yeah, I swear, like 3 all defensive players. Deuce is coming along. Obi Toppin is him. I love everybody in this team. This team's so good. All these good players. I don't see us making the play-in.
Yep, that's me. You gotta set the expectations in the hell so that way you're surprised by even the bare minimum. That's how you sustain happiness as a fan of sports. I came into this Giants season thinking that we'd be absolutely dog piss and shit.
And now we're going to the Super Bowl. Crazy.
Right? Insane.
Jeff, you know what's happening. You know what's happening.
I mean, if you want it to happen, you're Dallas Cowboys fans on Sunday. They're not going to San Francisco and beating San Francisco.
I've seen Eli do it. It's Brock Purdy. You think
Dude, Eli didn't do it. Eli didn't do it. That punt returner did it. Kyle Williams. He dropped 2 punts.
That was hilarious, by the way. He absolutely got wrecked by that fan base after that, though.
It's called being a warrior.
It's called the Eli Manning luck charm.
Hey, some people just got it, some people don't.
It. Yeah. Hey, you still have to take advantage of being lucky, And Eli Manning outdueled Tom Brady in 2 different Super Bowls, so
nope.
Ain't nothing lucky about that.
Nope. Because no one else can say that.
No one can say that.
Preach.
Oh man, we got a lot of people complaining about RJ now.
Yeah.
We'll end with this one. It's bless you. It's not that negative, but Still negative nonetheless. JL says so stupid. We are 25-22 right now. This could have been a special regular season. Could have been one.
Sam, can you do Hawkeye's Nye's last comment, his second to last comment, fourth from the top?
This one.
Yeah. Hawkeye said, I said it earlier this year. I genuinely think 2021-2022 Randall rubbed off on RJ in the worst way possible. And then you have the trade rumors all summer. I think that's a really interesting point. And I don't want to get too like intangible because, and I also don't want to be too anti-Randall because I've been accused of that lately. And again, I'm very high on what Randall's done this season. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have in terms of stylistically how certain styles or an offense can affect people's play. I don't know what you think of that, Tyrese, but I'm trying to say it in like the nicest way possible. I'm not saying that Randall's like a bad teammate because it's clear his teammates love him. And I'm not even sure it's Brunson and Randall's fault. But I think what I've been trying to say all time long is that this style has collateral damage and it impacts the teammates who aren't the main cogs in the machine because Randall and Brunson are guaranteed touches no matter what. They're the two guys who, no matter what happens, the possessions are going to have the ball is going to hit their hands relentlessly. And unless you're, like you said earlier, Tyrese Halliburton level creator, the role players asked to fill in around that, it's going to be a lot more scattered. And so I don't know if I'm on board with what Hawkeye is saying about like from an attitude standpoint, but I do agree with the general point that there is fallout if, stylistically you're not playing a super team-oriented brand of basketball.
Hawkeye 420 also says he meant that RJ saw Randall get absolutely rewarded for the worst behavior.
Well, that's definitely true because RJ knows he's not coming off the court, really. Like, I mean, he's gotten that.
We've seen games where we're literally begging for Thibs to like take him off the court because he's not playing well and he's getting all these minutes. So, like, yeah, he knows he's gonna absolutely play. So like he doesn't really have to put his best foot forward all the time.
Yeah.
Which is what Randall did.
It's just sad because I feel like Randall is doing such a better job now of putting his foot forward, like a higher.
The damage is done.
Right.
Can't be amended anymore,
Yeah, that's fair.
As Daniel Faraday from Law says, what happened.
That's great. Oh man, if you know, you know.
Yep. I think that's the best place to end it. Let's see. Knicks' next game is Sunday on my birthday versus the Raptors. I will not be here on Postgame. I will be celebrating elsewhere.
You guys were so right. They just flashed a stat. Thomas Bryant is averaging 16 and 10 or on 60% shooting his last 12 games.
Yeah, he was literally putting up like 20 and 10 at one point. He started to fall up now.
He's eating.
Yep. But yeah, next game will be Sunday. I will not be here. I think Jeff and Tyrese will most likely be here for post game. I will be watching the game though. I won't be watching it at my house, but watching it somewhere.
Let's since you guys are the Giants fans, let's get some weekend predictions for the two games from you two. What are you thinking from a Giants Knicks perspective Saturday and Sunday?
Hoping they can sweep the weekend again like last weekend.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I think the Giants legitimately have a chance to win this game. Like the Eagles, just like something about them feels off. Like I think they're banged up. I think their defense has been called into question lately, and I think the Giants just have a bunch of momentum, and they're playing like they have a bunch of momentum.
They're playing with house money.
Yeah, that too. Like the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts never won a playoff game. It's the second time in the playoffs without there's expectations. Like, and he's hurt, so like, if they actually if they're not holding back the playbook for him, and he's actually like play like he's not hurt, then that might be something you get to look forward to. And the fact that they were able to win without Saquon touches, Like Saquon barely touched the ball and they were able to win. So like,
I also think that we've never put our best foot forward in any of the 2 games that they've seen us in.
yeah,
And I also think that like that last game of the season, they were in a dogfight with our backups, basically.
they basically came off the practice squad and gave them hell.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like with us being fully healthy, I think we'll be able to put up a good enough fight to, stay in the game with them and even come up with a win.
Not to mention, Dable punted that first game. Dable 100% punted the first game because he ran 2 formations all game on offense, and then he basically pulled Saquon in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they're gonna be trying some shit in this game.
He wasn't kneeling the ball on 2nd and 10 though, so he wasn't. We've seen
Fair.
worse from the Giants.
Fair, but like I think Dable kind of knew they weren't winning that game anyway.
No, I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. And then like he was like, okay, we need to win Washington. So like, Leonard Williams didn't play. Yeah, like Leonard Williams didn't play. I think Adoree was hurt. McKinney was hurt. Basically, just Julian Love back there holding the defense together. Like, so yeah, I think that Dayball. I'm not surprised. I think Dayball is just a better coach. So like I like Sirianni, but like Dayball's a better coach. Like, look at this team. Like this is literally like their 5th, 6th string are like our 2 and 3, and Isaiah Hodgins from Bill Practice Squad was our 1. Like,
Dude, I like Hodgins. He had 0 drops this season. 0. Every ball that hit his hands.
Did you guys see his ankle before the game?
Yeah.
That last game, insane stuff. 100 yards, a touchdown, no drops.
Just Alshon Jeffrey, just light-skinned Alshon Jeffrey. But yeah, like I think they win this game. It'll be in the nail biter, but I think they win it. And I think if they,
I'm more confident in them winning than the Knicks.
Wow.
That's
I respect that from you guys. Huh? That's good shit. I do feel like the Giants fan base deserves to just be feeling good overall in a good spot. So wish you all the best as a fan of a team who has no chance of contending on any level for the next 5 years.
You're getting Sean Payton.
Who cares?
It's Sean
Dude,
Payton.
our quarterback has more bedrooms in his house than he threw for touchdowns last season.
Oh my gosh.
That's not a joke. He has a 12-bedroom house. No, I think he might have passed it. Some guy on TikTok was tracking it all season. That was like one of the funniest things ever. There was this guy who literally made a TikTok channel. Every week he would get like dressed up in like a suit and he would be like, update. Russell Wilson still has more bathrooms in his house than touchdown passes.
That's crazy.
And it went on for like 16 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Dog eat dog world.
All right. Well, shout out to everyone that tuned in. Shout out to the people that stayed for the whole hour and like 47 minutes.
That's impressive.
And listen to us rant and complain and talk about the Knicks. As we do in Knicks land, whether it be the timeline or not. But yeah, shout out to everyone that tuned in. We'll be back on Sunday night. I mean, it's a 6 p.m. game. We'll be in Toronto. Hopefully the Knicks can get some revenge for that last game. A lot of BS happened in that last game, but we move on. Everything Stricken related is in the description, as you guys always know. If you are new, subscribe, help us out a ton. We are on our way to 1K subs. And yeah, I think that's it.
Sam, can I say one more thing?
Uh-huh.
Did you guys see that Shannon Sharp got into a fight with Steven Adams at the Lakers game tonight?
Yeah, it was like Shannon Sharp and T. Morant were like hustling.
Wait, what?
Dude.
Because Shannon's like a LeBron truther. And I guess like Shannon was talking shit from the crowd and a huge fight broke out.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right.
This league.
This is I'm about to check this out. Anyways, y'all have a good night. We'll be back on Sunday. I'll be back after the Sunday game. Peace out, y'all.